Okay, so first on the list is Deadpool and Wolverine. This is the third Deadpool movie now, directed by Shawn Levy, starring Ryan Reynolds and his best friend Hugh Jackman, has returned to his role of Wolverine one more time for this episode in the Deadpool series. Another Marvel movie, but, you know, the Deadpool movies tend to be those kind of Marvel movies where even people who hate Marvel movies or hate superhero movies, they actually quite enjoy Deadpool for his irreverent humour, the fact that it's very sort of, meta, the way it takes the piss out of itself is what I'm trying to say. So people tend to like these. It's kind of darker. The comedy's darker. There's lots of comedy in it as well. It doesn't take itself seriously, is another thing I was trying to say, I suppose. But it still delivers on all the other levels of, you know, loads of Easter eggs in there, loads of action, loads of comic book stuff is of course mashed in there. But it's not like just watching the latest Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. You know, it takes itself less seriously than that. Also very good for sort of crossing over different elements of the Marvel universe, especially those darker aspects. I suppose Wolverine is always considered, you know, a bit more of a hard-ass character. He had these sort of, you know, knives comes out of his fists and he could shred people apart. You know, it's a lot different than just zapping them with some ray and freezing them, isn't it? You know, it's a bit more sort of grisly and gruesome. So, you know, Wolverine fits quite well into this whole Deadpool universe. Although, ironically, Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool kind of started back when they did the Wolverine movie all those years ago. Ryan Reynolds has gone on to do his own thing with the character in these last three movies. They're very popular with people because he is such a funny guy. You know, he kind of suits the role really well, I suppose. That kind of wisecracking, smart-ass sort of character. Always got a few good jokes. Certainly had us giggling. And as I say, you're not the biggest Marvel or superhero fan in the world, but you really enjoyed this movie, so I'm going to pass it over to you now. Let us know what your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, Ryan Reynolds, most famous for owning Wrexham Football Club in his own franchise film here. Yeah, it's interesting because, as you say, I'm not a big comic book fan. I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I've enjoyed some of it. Spider-Man I've enjoyed and stuff like that. But I've tended to enjoy more the kind of abstract stuff. So Guardians of the Galaxy I quite liked. You know, they tend to not be the kind of, I'm a superhero, blah, 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 special powers from Magic Planet, kind of, that's what I don't like. But when it's a bit more off the beat, it's more interesting. And as you say, it's more gritty, it's more thingy. And then, of course, it's very, like, we're not taking this seriously. And this is almost a kind of, I guess, it's like, for the in a modern context for the superhero films, it's the scary movie or the airplane of the genre, right? So it does very well in that. Now, I'd seen the first Deadpool a few years ago, found it very funny. I'd always meant to watch Deadpool 2 and hadn't. So the day before we went to see this at the Pictures, I watched Deadpool 2, and everyone had always said it's even better, and I had to agree. It was, I was watching Deadpool 2 and rolling laughing, particularly the bit where he kind of gets baby legs and he's sitting on the sofa because he's been chopped in off. I was dying laughing at that. I thought it was some of the funniest shit. So, you know, we were kind of excited. Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was an interesting idea. I'd enjoyed the X-Men films. They came out as I was growing up. So all the original X-Men, the X-Men's one of them funny films. The first few films were great. The original kind of trilogy, it really petered off. And they did all kinds of silly young X-Men and crap like that. Although they did Logan, which was excellent with Wolverine. And Wolverine's one of my characters I always liked. I thought he was cool. It was more realistic.
He was the popular character, wasn't he?
And you know what's not to love, right? Especially with Hugh Jackman, a great actor, love him to pieces, great guy. So yeah, we watched this, and it didn't disappoint. Not really. It was packed with the same silly humour. I mean, one of the interesting things, of course, I mean, it's a long time between Deadpool 2 and this. It's 6 years. And this was something I mentioned before when we were talking about the Mad Max film, you know, such a period of time between. So there's always concern about, is it gone too long? Have they waited too long? There's lots happened in between, obviously COVID and stuff, but it had moved from Fox to Marvel. They bought it out. And so there was a concern here. Is it going to be toned down? Is it not going to be what those original 2 films were? No fear, it was still rated R. There was still blood and guts and chopping around, which was exactly what we wanted. Lots of swearing and silly jokes and adult humour. Great, exactly what we wanted. Hugh Jackman brought something really fresh to it. The kind of rivalry between the two of them really worked. You know, and great to see, I mean, Matthew Mcfadyen playing one of the bad guys in this. I always loved him. Great British actor. They obviously did the multiverse thing. I'm not too keen on the multiverse thing. It's kind of fell apart. But they got away with it and kind of made it work.
Well, exactly. If you're going to do it, in you know,
it's lampooning it, right?
This is, you know, because all that Fox stuff was referenced as well. So this is what I mean about it being so meta. It talks about it as if, you know, it's aware of itself being a movie in a way. He's always breaking the fourth wall, talking to the audience. And there was a bit where you sort of seen the 20th Century Fox, the huge logo you used to see with the flashlight start was half buried when they get put into
that was good.
Yeah, which was hilarious, I thought. You know, all of those little jabs, very funny stuff.
It was very funny stuff, but, and there's always a but.
There's always a but.
There's always a but. That's the kind of joke he'd tell.
He'd love that.
He would. But was this as good as, which I think Deadpool 2 is the best one. Was it as good as that? No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was quite as funny. Okay. I don't think it was quite as violent. It was kind of missing something. It felt slightly toned down. It's hard to pin down exactly what it is. But I think one of the things that I liked about Deadpool 2 was it was very kind of based in the city, based in, you know, if found a ground into it in terms of what was going on. And because this goes down into, they're in this underworld, that hell thing or whatever, and the multiverses and stuff, there was something about it which just felt like they were dipping too much into the superhero stuff that kind of took something away from it for me. But to say that I'm nitpicking at stuff, and it was very enjoyable and funny and looked great, and the costumes were fantastic and all the special effects, you know, and all the cameos and Easter eggs were, you know, very funny stuff.
You know, I mean, I don't know about was it not as good as 2? I can't really. I remember 2 a little bit. That, you know, it's hard to say because it was a very strong sequel. There's some hilarious jokes in there. You know, you got all that stuff, the drug references with his landlady and all that. They're always trying to snort some coke and everything. And, you know, to have that in a Marvel movie is hilarious. And they did kind of carry that over. There was references to that. And you've got to remember, this is officially a Disney movie, so it's impressive that they managed to squeeze all that stuff in there. The sex jokes, the drugs jokes.
Want to do some cocaine?
Hey, cocaine is the one thing that Feige said is off limits.
What about Bolivian marching powder?
They know all the slang terms. They have a list.
It had all the jokes. It had all the violence, as you say, you know, and all those kind of things. And one thing we've got to mention is the biggest surprise of the entire film turning up.
The cameos.
The cameos with Blade.
Yeah. And you had Jennifer Garner turn back up as Elektra. You had the girl as well, of course, from Logan, which was great to see. She's like a teen now. And she made a sort of like a return to that character, which was great to see. And also you had Channing Tatum turn up as Gambit. So, you know, for fanboys, that's got to be a good one, isn't it? We actually see Gambit as he's supposed to be, throwing the cards about and doing all his Gambit stuff. Pretty cool. So, you know, in terms of a third movie having to go further than the previous ones did, like you said, the last one, it was in the city, it was more contained. I think this one had to get out of that kind of environment and take it to another place in order to tell this story.
Yeah, I get that, and I mean, I think the Blade thing, going back to that was such a huge surprise to me because it's just one of them things of as someone who doesn't know all the rest of the character, but Blade was big, right? And to see Wesley Snipes turning back up, it was kind of like
it was
holy
impressive
shit.
because I haven't really seen much of Wesley Snipes in the last 10 years or so.
No.
I think he has worked again, but it's kind of like it's nothing major, nothing as big as Blade anyway. So to see him back as that character was cool. And there was some good jokes in there, that I think there was one point where he said, there is only one Blade, there will never be another. And Deadpool kind of looks at the camera because we know that there's a Mahershala Ali movie on the way. At some point, they're going to be doing another Blade. So it's the little jokes like that do it for me. I was rolling with some of those, looking at the camera like Laurel and Hardy sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. I think the plot and the story of the second one, for me, was more interesting. The whole kind of getting that gang of misfits together who all die instantly because they're rubbish. Going, they're chasing through the city and stuff. It just felt more fun in that way, and this felt a little stretched out and kind of, whatever. And so that's the only harm of it. But I
mean, you got that whole backstory really in real life that. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have had this faux rivalry, where they are at each other's throats on social media and dissing each other left, right, and centre, even though we know they're really friends. But they played up to this whole idea that they hate each other, which kind of played into them eventually doing this, because I think it's been in the works for ages. Like you said, took 6 years to make, but I think they wanted to wait that time so that Hugh Jackman was ready and free to do it again, and Ryan Reynolds, obviously, like you said, he's been doing a hell of a lot with Wrexham in the last few years, and that is something would be remiss for us to not mention, because here we are, we're both in Wales, and when you get all these Deadpools at the end, you've had Nice Pool, and you've had all of these different versions, and then you get one with the Welsh flag on, Welsh Pool. Now, that's such a great joke, I mean, especially for people from Wales, because, you see, for anyone who doesn't know, who's listening in from anywhere else, Welsh Pool is a town in mid Wales. It's south of Wrexham, a little bit north of where I am here. So, the idea that he put a character in Welsh Pool is a play on the fact that there is a place in Wales called Welsh Pool. And,
it was very cool.
For Welsh people, or anyone, Brits knowing about that, I thought that was a real sort of a little tip of the cap to Wales there. So good on him for doing that, because I thought it was brilliant. Great idea. Loads of little cameos again.
That was a really fun moment as well. It's all those all the Deadpools when they turn up, and they, and all the different ones. And it's actually his wife is one of them, and his kid is another one.
Wasn't
the baby? I think
the guy he owns Wrexham with was in there as one of them. Somewhere. I'm not
possibly,
sure. Rob McElhenney. Maybe not. I might just be dreaming that up, but there was a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a very fun sequence.
And the little dog was hilarious. That ugly little chihuahua or whatever it was.
It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But, But, yeah, enjoyable, funny, worth watching if you like, a good laugh at these kind of things. It has been popular, and it's, even for a non-Marvelistic fan like myself, it's a good laugh.
And I think now a solid trilogy. We always talk about which version, the third installment let it down, or this, that, and the other. There's very few perfect trilogies out there, but they probably won't halt it here. But if they did, I'd say it's close as you get modern days to a perfect trilogy. They're three damn fine films.
It's very solid, and I was about to say that I don't think they should carry on. I've got a very strong feeling they will. With all these things, they can't help themselves because of the money.
Well, look how many times Hugh Jackman's come back to that character. Like you said, he did the original X-Men films of, I think there was either 3 or 4. Then he come out and did his own solo movie, the Wolverine, which was the one where they introduced Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, albeit nothing like the character that he's become. Then he did Logan. Then he was in one of the, like you said, the X-Men First Class, where they did the prequels, like when they were all young. He came back in for one of them as well. So he has returned to that role so many times, so much so that it's like James Bond for him. It's like everyone's, no matter what else he does, Greatest Showman, all this stuff, it's always going to be Wolverine. But considering his age, he got into shape again for it. I know it's kind of who cares sort of thing, but it's impressive. I thought that he can still do it and still play it. And,
it is, but it's also these things. It's with all these things, overstaying the welcome of. All right, you got the band together one last time. You finished the Deadpool trilogy. It kind of feels like a natural end to okay, off we go. Yeah, move on to something new. But you have that feeling of with all these Marvel things, it's like, oh, you're going to drag this out and on, and at what point does it become then silly?
Well, 200 million budget took 1.3 billion. So if as these things usually dictated by finances, if he did want to do it again, they're going to give it a green light with that sort of money. But again, where they're going to go further than this. So anyway, like we said, for non-comic book Marvel fans, it's still a good laugh. It's still something that if you've watched the other two and enjoyed them, definitely give it a go. If you haven't already. If you have, let us know what you thought of the film. Did you agree with Dave that it wasn't as strong as the previous film, or did you enjoy it just as much or more? Let us know in the comments. That'd be great. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. Done. Thanks very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. The best way to support this channel is by dropping us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include buying me a coffee and Patreon. This video was sponsored by funkytshirts.co.uk. Check out their website for a full range of awesome t-shirt designs. You can find all the links in the description.